No, I was thinking about how oftentimes people who come up beside us or with us, and that becomes their identity. And
Mm,
instantly thought about Adam and Eve. There's
mm,
many today who can still consider Eve as Adam's rib,
mm.
and she doesn't get to step into her own identity. And think about how grateful we are for seasons. I just got to celebrate our pastor, who for a season I was with him. Everybody I met, the opportunities I got was through him, and now getting to celebrate him and stepping into my own season of having those alongside me, and like being grateful for the seasons where we were a rib, but then stepping into your identity of who you are now. Like, think back to
It's
that, like in
good.
the business you started, and the seasons of your life, even when you're a child, like under your parents and things. In ministry, it's tough sometimes to celebrate those moments because sometimes they don't always end the way you think they should. But every rib season has a body season, if you think about it that perspective.
Mm, I love that. And it's so accurate to like so many elements of our life because there has to be rib seasons, otherwise you don't carry out like your actual gifting, or your stature is not the same when you try to go straight from, I'm going to do it on my own right out the gate. It doesn't generally work because you haven't been taught like your posture, you haven't been taught how to actually walk in it and through it and do it well, while also recognizing like when you're in, and I'm thinking of like a duo in this perspective, but like even as a husband and wife where we have like this identity that is together, that there's also moments where you're asked to stand in front of, whether you're safeguarding, whether you're fighting a fight and they're looking in the opposite at your six, like that you are now called into a different position or a different role. Anthony, when you went to, would you go to sea duty, right? For like 9 months at a time, and Morgan had to step up into this role. And so I'm feeling that right now. And it's an interesting thing. Like even Gary said the other day, he was like, I'm so proud of you for like taking on all of this. And I was like, I don't know if that's the words I would use, but appreciate that you're proud of me. Like just keep on keeping on. But like his perspective was that it gives me a perspective on the roles and responsibilities that he was playing on a day-to-day basis. But I didn't agree. So I just was like, whatever. I don't agree with what you're saying because I'm handling this totally different. And I haven't thought of myself as being proud because I put on the hat because that's the expectation, in a good way. Like the Lord was like, this is your season. Here you go. And yeah, it's just interesting.
I think a lot of young people today, when it comes to marriage, they don't realize the concept that once you transition from a me to a we, you don't ever get to just be me.
Yeah.
Like right now, you're standing in the pocket for both of you.
Yeah.
And there's seasons where Morgan's like simple things like she's sick in my home.
Yes.
Just because
Yes.
mama's out of pocket, I got to step in and be the we. There's no, well, we just don't
Yeah.
have mom this week. When I was out to sea, she had to step in that gap and be
Yeah.
both. And I think that's, speaking to the covenant, and I think we miss the power of that word. I've been
Yeah. It's
going
good.
through Genesis with some guys, and in God's covenant with Abraham, what he was saying is, I just need you to hold your part up, Abraham, because I'm never going to fail on mine. Like
Like,
from this moment on, there's never going to be just a me. I'm bringing you and all your offspring and who you're going to be, good, bad, or indifferent, in a covenant with me. And that's a we now. And you see that time and time in the Old Testament. Israel failed again and again, but God never wavered,
mm,
so much that he sent Jesus, and then he sent the disciples, and it was Jesus to get the Jews right. It was not to save. I mean, he did save everybody, but his teachings, it was everybody. He was trying to get the people right. And then even in the disciples, Peter was sent for the Jews and trying to get the people right. Like he just never let down on his covenant with them. And that's, I think that's for us in marriage is the hard thing sometimes because um, we're human. We're our feelings, our emotions get into it. But if we understood the covenant from that aspect, and it's the hard part is divorce is rampant in the world around us because we make the decision to cut it off just because the wind blows a certain way. I'm not
mm,
saying there's not reason. I've experienced ladies who have been abused, men who have been cheated on, and the Bible does talk about that. Though, and then there's a parting of ways. I think bigger than just a physical or just a a spat, but a truly hearts disconnecting. It's almost then those moments occur that he gives you those outs. But I think it just speaks to that covenant